Thinking of buying a home in London? Well, make sure to check out this video where I cover the 12 most critical steps you're going to need in the buying process to find that perfect home. Hi everyone, I'm Arinzeh with Onyx Property Consultants and Keller Williams. I am a London-based property agent and I love helping my clients with all of their real estate needs. On my YouTube channel, I talk about the London property market and discovering and exploring all the fabulous things to do in this incredible city. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I put out a new video, which is weekly. I love working with my clients, especially buyers, whether they're domestic or international, as I really get to guide them on the journey of finding the perfect home or investment property. In this video, I share the 12 critical steps in the home buying process that will help you find the perfect home for you. You can also download my free buying guide, which is going to include all the steps I mentioned in this video, as well as a few more so that you have everything you need in the process. I'll include a link in the description box to this video. So let's dive in. Step number 1 is to actually decide whether you actually want to buy a home. While many people say that they want to buy a home, it might not be the right decision for absolutely everyone. While I'm a huge advocate of buying homes and building wealth by owning multiple properties, owning your own home might not be the right decision for everyone. Say you want a particular level of amenities and features that you might not be able to acquire in the home you buy. Renting might continue to make the most sense, and that's a perfectly personal and right decision for you. After you decide that you really do want to buy a home and that it's right for you, then decide what amenities and features that your next home must have. Let's say you just got married. You may actually want to rent for the first few months or years to make sure that you get a sense of the features and benefits that are most important to you as a couple. Perhaps you thought you could live with a one-bedroom flat, but after having perhaps rented a one-bedroom for a while, you might have discovered that it's really clear that you're going to need to stretch to a 2 or perhaps 3-bedroom property. If you have pets, this will also be a key feature to look for and actually may impact the type of home you can actually buy. Step 3 is to decide on a budget. I often get buying inquiries from people who think that they're ready to buy, and the thing I say to them is, do you have a budget and have you had a conversation with a mortgage advisor? This will give them a really clear picture of how much down payment that they're going to need or deposit and what loan terms might they be able to qualify for, which is going to impact the monthly payment as well as repayment terms and refinancing options down the road. This might also impact whether you need to sell your existing home first if you already own a home. That's super important because you might find that you're able to keep your existing home, and that might be a good way to hold on to your existing home as a buy-to-let investment where you can earn passive income while retaining an appreciating asset that might set you up for a good situation at retirement. Part of determining a budget is also not just the cost of the property, but also major components such as stamp duty, closing costs, and then the cost of ownership, which include potentially service charges, ground rent, council tax, utilities, and those types of things. Stamp duty is definitely a key component to your budget that you're going to want to calculate and can add up to 15% to the purchase amount. If you want to know more about stamp duty, then check out my video on stamp duty in the link above. The worst mistake you can make is to have just enough to purchase the property, but then have nothing set aside to afford the running costs, including routine maintenance that's definitely bound to occur over the course of time. As step number 4 is getting a mortgage in principle. When you've determined your budget and had your conversations with the mortgage advisors and they've reached out to lenders, you definitely want to get a mortgage in principle. This is hugely helpful when you go out looking, as it demonstrates that you've truly gotten a sense of what you can afford, and many estate agents will ask for it because it'll give them a gauge of how serious you are as a buyer. You might also want to be prepared to demonstrate proof of funds for that equity or down payment amount that you're going to need to have when it's time to get that mortgage. As step number 5, determine where you want to live. So now that you know what kind of property you want and have a good sense of budget, you next need to consider where you actually want to live. London is a diverse city, and there's so many different neighborhoods that have such different vibes and character. I recently did a video on the neighborhood called Marylebone, which you might want to check out in the link in the description box below. But that neighborhood, say, is very different from Holland Park, South Kensington, or Islington. Things that might differ are, of course, the commute, the affordability, area amenities, access to green space, and various other features. If you can't afford some of the areas I've mentioned that are in central London, you might want to go further out into zones 2 or 3 or beyond, and then you'll have to balance the budget and lifestyle with commuting costs. East London and south of the river are areas that say are much more affordable, but you'll have to make sure that those areas are right for you. At number 6 on the list is choosing the specific property. Now that you have everything in order and you have an idea of where you want to live, now you can go house hunting, as we say in America. Most buyers use the online portals to do their searches and will register with many agents. This can be very overwhelming, as all of a sudden you're bombarded with endless emails of properties that may or may not suit your criteria, as agents work for the sellers and just need to get their stock sold and demonstrate that they're pushing out various listings. If you want to avoid that and work with someone who has your back and will guide you through the entire buying process, including and choosing the right home, then consider working with a buying agent such as myself. If you want to know more about working with a buying agent, or as a property finder as we say, then check out my video on using a buying agent in London. As you consider properties beyond budget and amenities, you'll also need to consider leasehold versus freehold properties, service charges and ground rent, neighbors, and other things that you're going to want to factor. So are you thinking of buying a property in London right now? Let me know in the description box below where you are in that process or in the journey. Back to our list, at number 7 is make an offer and get it accepted. When you find the right property and make an offer, there might be negotiations before you actually get an offer agreed and accepted. The irony here is that if you're not working with the buying agent, you're likely going to have to negotiate directly with an estate agent who is a professional and works on behalf of the seller. And number 8 is to arrange the mortgage. Once you have your offer accepted, the estate agent will want you to provide details of your solicitor and start working on getting your mortgage. So now that you have the offer accepted, you can circle back with the lender who provided the mortgage in principle and get going and actually getting your mortgage process started, the due diligence completed, so that you can get an actual mortgage offer delivered. Depending on how much time has passed, you might want to circle back with that same lender, or perhaps consider other lenders if the market has shifted, so make sure you're getting the best deal out there. At number 9 is to hire a solicitor or conveyancer. A lot of people won't give this much thought, or they might get a referral from someone, but you really want to make sure that you're working with a solicitor or conveyancer that knows what they're doing. When I'm working with my buyers, I personally prefer to work with smaller solicitor firms, as they're going to give the attention it needs. One of the things we know as agents is that time kills deals, and you definitely don't want to be working with a solicitor who's not taking your property seriously, or say it's one of these conveyance factories where it's very transaction driven and they're really not going to push your deal through or understand how to deal with issues as they arise. And number 10, decide or book a survey. If you have an actual mortgage lender, they'll actually want to book in a valuation survey. But there are several other types of surveys, including a home buyer's report, structural survey, or home condition report. I'll be doing a separate video on this, as I think it's really important to explain the differences of each type of survey and determine the one that's right for you. And number 11 is exchange of contracts. Once all the title and inquiries have been completed, you can now be in a position where your solicitor is ready to set the date to exchange contracts, which is the point where you're legally bound to purchase the property. It's likely that several weeks or even months have gone by since your offer has been accepted, which is why a good agent is needed to make sure that both sides are proceeding and pushing the deal forward as quickly and as efficiently as possible. At exchange, you'll also need to be prepared to send to your solicitor the deposit, which is typically 10% of the purchase price. At number 12 is the final step, which is completion, when you pay for the purchase and take full ownership and get your set of keys. Money and title is transferred between each side's conveyancer or solicitor. It's important to note that between exchange and completion, the most critical things that happen is that your mortgage is finalized and that your solicitor is liaising with the mortgage company to make sure funds will be ready on the completion date. It's an opportunity for you as the buyer to arrange movers and also set up utilities as of the completion date. So I hope this video has given you the confidence that you now have the steps to work as a buyer to find the perfect home in London. Don't forget to download my free buying guide, as I'll include all the steps I've covered in today's video as several more so that you are completely covered. And if you like this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up and leave me a comment below, and actually also mention if there's other content you'd like to see me create. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out the other videos on my YouTube channel where I feature the London property market and showing off all the fabulous things to do in this city. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. So that's Arinzeh with Onyx Property Consultants and Keller Williams. Bye for now.